Welcome back to Wayne TV. I'm Joel Gilly. I'm joined by Dr. Poole. And is that the best thing to call you, Dr. Poole?
You can call me, well, as long as I'm not in trouble, you can
And you're the new head honcho, if you will, here at UMO, correct?
I'm the new president, yes. We've got a lot of good honchos here at the university.
So talk a little bit about where you come from. What brought you to UMO?
Well, a couple of things. My wife and I grew up in California. What's attracted us to UMO was really the conditions for success, the university, the people. We've traveled a lot to the East Coast. Really love it out here. Both of our mothers were from Arkansas, and they actually grew up in Fort Smith.
Oh.
And they traveled during the late 30s to California. That's how they got there. My dad was from Texas, her dad from Kansas. And because of the group of Southerners that actually migrated to Southern California, particularly in the church that we grew up, the Church of Christ, we grew up with people from the South. So as we come out here and the opportunity became available, we started meeting people. We saw the great things about the university. It brought back our upbringing, all the way to the food. I mean, a lot of that. California was a little different back then.
Yeah.
A little different than when our daughters grew up. So we felt like we were coming back home. And then of course, the university, and I'm sure you'll ask me some questions about that, but just the opportunity here to follow on for some great leaders and work with a great group of people. So.
Now, the University of Mount Olive has seen a lot of changes over the years. What do you expect to see, in the next coming years under you as the president? What are kind of your visions for the university?
Sure. I look at it, when you look at the presidents, we've had some outstanding people. You look at Dr. Raper, who had the 40-year history, and Dr. Byrd with 13 years, and then most recently Dr. Kerstetter with his 9 years with the university. So it's kind of like a relay race, and each one brought individual talents and gifts to the university to take it to that next level. So we're just coming in now and just going and taking that to the next level. It's like passing the baton in a race. I think we look at it as a relay race. So it's our turn to pick up the baton. The foundation, when I talk about the conditions for success, and this will to answer your question, a number of years ago, the university determined that it was going to serve a broad population, the traditional 18 to 22-year-old population, traditional residential students. Yeah. I love that group. That's where you have all of the athletics and the music and intramurals and clubs and students on campus. That's fantastic. And much of my higher ed career was in that area. But the other thing, and it was a very wise move many years ago, and this even goes back to Dr. Raper, expanded by Dr. Byrd and enhanced by Dr. Kerstetter, is let's take a look at the adult student, the student that is getting their degree completed, maybe online as well, and then that third group is the graduate level group. Many universities today can't get out of just the traditional side. Mm-hmm. So when you talk about conditions for success, we're serving all that population. And I love them all. I've taught, I'm a faculty member, so I've taught in all of those populations. I love them all. And so those types of things help us to go to the next level. What you're going to see in the next administration, we're going to have an expansion of programs. It's all about the mission. It's about students, it's about community, and it's about the church, all three of those. This is a Christian institution. I make no apologies for that. But we take students from all faiths or no faith at all. I hope they develop a faith, as they go through here. And I hope they're exposed to that. And that would be a wonderful thing. But ultimately, when you're talking about meeting that mission, everything we do is to meet that mission. So with programs, there are new programs and opportunities out there for students for jobs. And this gives us an opportunity to expand on what's been done in the past with new programs and a variety of new programs that we're looking at. That also helps with the community, because a lot of those programs, particularly in the healthcare arena that we're expanding, and some others, really can aid in helping the community. First and foremost, the Eastern North Carolina community, obviously, but even on the broader scale. And then third, what you're going to see is a real intentional focus on service. Mount Olive has a great history of that. We're going to make sure people understand that and hear about that. We're going to tell people the story. Yeah. And so I think you'll see that in the gifts and talents that we're going to be doing this year with the community, the students, faculty and staff and those types of things. So that's more of the 30,000 foot level. I can get a little more specific if you'd like, but that's where we're headed here.
Yeah, and I think it's so great because a lot of people, Mount Olive is not just this university in Mount Olive. I mean, there are a number of campuses now across, eastern North Carolina, central North Carolina even, and so that it's really cool to see how that program has expanded with that, adult learning and things as well, right?
Mm-hmm. And the great thing is, by putting those things into place, we have the opportunity now, what you're going to see, and this is nothing new. People talk about, well, this is the next wave of the future. This has been around for decades. Distance education has been around for about 300 years. It's called correspondence school.
Yeah.
Back in Europe, actually, is where a lot of that started. And so over time, it's just different technologies. The content is the same. It's just a delivery method. Mm-hmm. And so the delivery method that really is great for adults in particular, that are working adults, is online and hybrid. So in the original way for adults that really was an outgrowth of people coming back from the Vietnam War, similar to the outgrowth of World War II when people started going to college, the GIs coming back. Mm-hmm. In the mid-'70s, you started seeing these degree completion programs. Well, you went to school from 6 to 10:30, one night a week, and you took your class. It took a little longer that way. Now what you're seeing is hybrid classes where they do a little bit online and they do maybe 6 to 8 and 8 to 10. They can take 2 classes in one night, and they're supplementing it with technology. That technology is probably going to change each year. Right now, online means a variety of things, and it can be done well if it's done right. And then the fully online makes it very easy. If you think about it, you take a single mother, for example, that's got to go home and take care of the children. Well, you just can't leave from 6 to 10:30.
Exactly.
But you could take care of the children, and then when they're in bed, you can get your studies. And we have a lot of students like that. And it's not just single mothers. It's working professionals. It's people that work, graveyard shifts, those types of things. So it's anytime, anywhere, when you do it very well. And there's a lot of student engagement in online. So you're going to see some expansions there, because that just opens up the opportunity. So the Ed Center, the locations that you're talking about, they really are moving into more of an educational service center. So you might still have classes that are going to be going there, but it's also a place for students, even if they're in online, they can come and they have the opportunity to have a place to hang out, have a coffee, meet with their student study groups, or just a place to study. Let the family, if they're with the family, they can do a little shopping or do something. They've got a quiet space, even outside of the home, that they can do. And those opportunities are going to expand here.
That's great. So we've talked a lot about the university and history. I want to know a little bit more about you. So from California originally, talk about your career in education so far.
Sure. My background is kind of a variety of things, although higher ed's been a big part of that. I come from both the business and the academic side. I was very fortunate to get a scholarship to go to Pepperdine. I grew up in Riverside. Riverside was heavy agriculture when I was growing up. In fact, the parent navel orange tree, the original navel oranges, are in Riverside. There's 2 trees left. They've got a what am I trying to say?
Barricade around
Yeah, it basically is. I couldn't think of the word wrought iron around it. It's where two major streets meet, but very heavy agriculture, particularly in the citrus industry.
Yeah.
My wife, on the other hand, just a few miles up where she grew up, was very heavy into the dairy industry, so a lot of cows and turkeys and chickens and those types of things.
Yeah.
Again, different time in California. So in Riverside, for me, where I grew up, good middle-class family. Both my parents were working people. Neither one of them had a college education, but they wanted to make sure their son had that opportunity. So I got an opportunity to go to Pepperdine. And I was a business major, but I enjoyed singing in the choir. I love music. And that's probably from the church upbringing where you sang a cappella, and back then, so you had to learn how to sing. And so I sang in the choir. And about halfway through the semester, the choir director says, Dave, if you'll change your major, I'll give you a full ride scholarship. This is at Pepperdine University in Malibu, right? I'm a kid from that little agricultural middle class town in Riverside, and here 75 miles away, I'm on the beach, right? I'm a kid in the candy store. I get a free ride to Pepperdine. I mean, scholarship wise, you had to you earned it with the things that you did. Of course, back then, it was $119 a unit to go to Pepperdine University. It's a lot more now.
Yeah.
So that's where I got my initial academic background, and I knew I would always go back into business, but I wound up teaching public school, high school choral music and theater, or the musical side, musical theater, and I also taught English and history on the side as one of my courses. And I loved it. I loved teaching high school. And I was doing that when I first met my wife. She was a church secretary. She had not finished her degree at that time. She actually went back as an adult. So anyway, make a long story short, we got married. I moved back into business. I was in the geotechnical engineering side of things. Also during my career, I've been part of two startups, one particular company that we started in the Orange County area. And then I got a call to come back, and they were looking for somebody to run executive MBA programs at Pepperdine. Well, that was, I had the affiliation there, and I'd always kept that. So that's when I went back into the higher ed after the business stint, and I ran Pepperdine's executive programs for 13 years.
Wow.
We were the fourth largest business school at the time, and it was the largest executive program. We had grown it to be the largest executive program west of the Mississippi. Now, this is back in the late 80s, early 90s. Mm-hmm. And then from there, then I went back into business, then back into education at Chapman University as an associate dean, got more heavy in the academic side there, and then from there became vice president of another university, then went to California Baptist University, where I started a whole new division, and that was where I got very heavily involved in the adult side, mm-hmm. and gave me that experience. And for there, the beauty there was it gave me it was a startup within the university, so it was a separate operating division with separate faculty, separate staff, separate administration that I ran. And the president is and still is very entrepreneurial. He'll be active in the inauguration, in mm-hmm. fact, and Ron Ellis, Dr. Ron Ellis, 1994 came in as a 38-year-old president, and just really expanded. But that's where the opportunity gave me a great opportunity, because we took degree completion students similar to what UMO has now. And there were 12 majors and concentrations, a little over 500 students. That, when I left, we'd built the team that we were serving over 4,000 students with 42 majors and concentrations, wow. 8 masters, 2 doctorate, and many more bachelors. So my academic career and my business career, that's what got me to this place.
Yeah, but I think I think that's really cool that you have the business side as well. It's not that it's been 100% in higher education. You've been on the other side of things as well, which kind of gives you that connection to the outside world, outside of higher ed, right?
It does, and excuse me, I've been very fortunate. I have had some great mentors in my career that have really done a lot. And I would include my parents and my father in particular with regards to that. It's always good when you're younger and you start to make a mistake if you've got somebody that can basically pull you aside, get in your face and say, now, do you realize if you do this, you need to learn? Yeah. And I've just been very fortunate because I've had some great mentors. The business side, it's hard today to be a university president. It's a very different world in academia than it was even before the Great Recession. And that's why you see a lot of schools really struggling, because they're still trying to do things the way that it was, that they probably should have even changed even before that time mm-hmm. period. You just can't do things the same way. It's a different world, different needs. And I'm not just talking about online or adult. I mean, even in the expansion of programs for your traditional students, where that will go. And part of that is helping faculty and staff to understand, and you're taking them along that path, giving them that information, and you're building that team to be able to do it as a group together, that we're all on board with this. Here's why we're doing this, because ultimately it is about the student, it is about the community, and in our case it is about the church as well. If everything we do is ultimately focused on that, it makes it much easier to take people from A to B to C.
Absolutely.
And help them with that. And I'll tell you, I've been here on what would it be on Monday? I guess it would be 3 months. So I haven't been here very long. But I will tell you, this is a fantastic faculty and staff. They're ready for the next ride. They so much appreciate the past and the past leadership, and they're ready for that next ride, and they're ready to go. So we're moving along.
That's great. Okay, talk about the transition from California to North Carolina.
You know, when we got on the road, which wound up being about 10:30 at night on a Tuesday, or I think it was on a Tuesday. We just picked up my brand new son-in-law and my daughter from the airport from their honeymoon, and that was from LAX, and then we're about 50 miles inland from there. So we dropped them off at 10:30 at night, and we start this trek because we're driving all the way. It's Mary and I and our little dog Molly. She's a little Cairn Terrier, a little Toto dog, 2-year-old dog. And as we're one of the first towns outside of the Riverside area, when you're starting to get in the desert and go across I-40 is Barstow. And it was probably by that time it was probably about midnight. And there was a sign. Mary saw this sign, big sign, directional sign. It says, Wilmington, North Carolina, 2,572 miles. She said, Dave, that's a sign. I mean, we're doing the right thing. This is the right thing.
You were at least on the right road.
We were on the right road. We knew we weren't going to get lost.
Yeah.
We were going to get to North Carolina. And what was funny is, it was the first or second week I was here. Didn't tell anybody that. Somebody, I can't remember who said it, but they came up to us and said, hey, you know, in Wilmington, there's this sign that says, Barstow, California, 2,572 miles. That's in Wilmington. I still haven't seen the sign yet. I want to see it. So that was our trek. We got in the car and we drove. We drive as long as we could. We get out, stay overnight at the Best Western or wherever, and then just drive some more. But it gave us a chance to see the country. We would have liked to take a little bit more time, but we just got out because we were here. We were going to be here on the 1st. We arrived on the 1st at 3 p.m. I think is when I told them we were going to be here. Mary and I got out. There's the big sign right by the 117. We had our UMO shirts that Rhonda Jessup had given us.
Yep.
You know, in the interview process, these great T-shirts. We put on our T-shirts, took pictures of each other. We said, we are here, we are home.
That's great.
We bought a one-way ticket here. We just hope people don't give us a one-way ticket back.
There you go. So have you been fully immersed in the North Carolina barbecue yet?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, good.
Absolutely. Earl Worley Jr., our board chair, that was one of the first things he made sure we were. I think he's testing us a little bit, saying, "No, you got to like the Eastern North Carolina barbecue." It was great, but then it was funny because he said, and when we were at Parker's, is where he and his wife Melissa took us, and so we're sitting down, and so you have other things you can get. So I got the combo plate with the fried chicken. I need to get fried chicken, Eastern North Carolina barbecue, and then you had a side. So I thought, well, I'll be healthy since I'm getting fried chicken, like I really. You know, watching
got the salad with
That's
it.
Right. Well, I got green beans.
Yeah.
And Earl looks at me and he says, Dave, green beans. He says, you got to try the Brunswick stew. And I said, okay, I'll try that stuff's great.
Oh yeah.
Now, health-wise, compared to the green beans, probably a little healthy with green beans, but that's okay.
Hey.
I prescribed a better living through modern chemistry.
There you go.
So I take my cholesterol pills and I'm in good shape.
You're good.
Yeah. Now,
Well,
we got it.
we're so excited to have you here. Thank you so much. Is there anything else that we need to talk about today that we left out?
You know, I appreciate the opportunity to chat with you. I look forward to other opportunities
Absolutely.
here. I want people to know that not only I think people know that Mount Olive is a great place and a fantastic place, but we're going to make sure as we take this to the next level and we look at these kind of programs that can really meet some community needs and take students and give them opportunities to be leaders and have a seat at the table. We want UMO students to have a seat at the table for decision. We want them to be decision makers so they can help their local communities, the state, maybe even on a national level. I think on a national level. That's going to be our focus. Service is going to be our focus. And as people take a look at Mount Olive, I hope they look at us and say, you know, these people are not focused on a lot of negative that you hear right now on higher ed campuses. That's not rampant on higher ed.
Yeah.
It is on some, and I understand that. And there's some challenges, you know, that a lot of presidents have with different kinds of challenges. You know, and I'm not suggesting we won't have ours, but I want us to be able to let people know that here we're focused on this. We're focused on that service aspect. We're focused on our mission, And we're looking forward to having those and looking for those kind of opportunities to make a difference here in Eastern North Carolina and beyond in the coming years.
That's great. I think you're headed in the right direction. So we appreciate the time today.
All right,
Thank you so much.
Thank you.